Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the final day of the 2023 legislative session ends with the passing of several high-profile bills, and there's some strong reactions to the passage of Senate Bill 150, which deals with issues involving transgender youth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
6 o'clock here. Good morning. I'm Dakota Makris, and it's Friday. The weekend is almost here. Let's take it over to Brandon for a look at that forecast. Brandon, I don't know why I always get so excited for the weekend in the morning because, you know, like last week I said I have a whole day of work ahead of me. So I don't know. Maybe I can escape a little bit earlier today.
Maybe you can. Maybe you can.
Maybe they'll let me.
But here's the thing. It's going to be not so good of a day to be outside. Maybe a good day to be at home. But, of course, we've got a lot of weather to get through until we can get to some calmer weather at the end of the weekend. So, again, we're tracking rain this morning on live pinpoint Doppler radar as we continue our first alert weather day coverage. You see the heavier bands back out to the west. We'll take you right back in there for a second. Pulaski County getting soaked right now to the, actually Somerset now involved in that heavy rain. Science Hill, Burnside, Nancy. If you're traveling west of Somerset on 27, the Parkway, or back out toward 80, you're going to be driving in some heavy rain this morning. Down into Wayne and McCree counties down that way. Monticello not in the heavier band just yet, or just right now anyway. Mill Springs is in the northern parts of the county. It's east of Powersburg now. Coopersville seeing some pretty good rain. Cooperative over into McCree County. It's approaching 27 there. Whitley City and Pine Knot and Stearns. So again, just be aware of that this morning. Temperatures out there, 39 Grundy. They're trying to go up on us, but they're not having a whole lot of success. 63 Jacksboro and Monticello, 61 in Somerset, 61 in Irvin. I do think the rain keeps it a touch cooler, but we're seeing that warm air push in ahead of that cold front that's going to be impacting us for the next couple of days. So we'll get up to about 60 for most of the region by this afternoon. It's going to take us all the way till basically close to midnight to reach our daytime high of 67 today. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. 9 people are dead after a crash involving 2 Army Black Hawk helicopters in western Kentucky. Fort Campbell officials confirmed they were on a routine training mission at the time of the crash on Wednesday night. All 9 people were killed who were part of the 101st Airborne Division. A witness on the ground reported seeing helicopters flying overhead and then a loud explosion a short time later. Governor Andy Beshear was in Fort Campbell yesterday morning along the division's commander. He gave his condolences to the families.
Today is a tough and a tragic day for Kentucky, for the Fort Campbell, and for the 101st. The 9 individuals we lost are children of God. They will be mourned and missed by their families, by their communities.
An investigation into the crash is still underway. The deputy commander says that the Army has deployed an aircraft safety team from Alabama who will assist in the investigation. Kentucky State Police are investigating an apparent murder-suicide stemming from a domestic dispute in Rockcastle County. Police say 47-year-old Michael Collingsworth of Mount Vernon shot and killed his wife, 45-year-old Tanya Collingsworth. After shooting his wife, police say Collingsworth killed himself. The incident occurred on Copper Creek Road. The Rockcastle County Coroner's Office pronounced both Michael and Tanya dead at the scene. A babysitter is charged with abusing a young child in Whitley County. 53-year-old Charlene Lowe is charged with criminal abuse and wanton endangerment. State police say Lowe was babysitting a 2-year-old boy for a week while the boy's mother was working. He was taken to UK hospital. Investigators say he had several bruises and a footprint on his abdomen. In an interview with police, Lowe claimed the injuries came from the boy falling out of bed. Thursday was a busy and historic day at the state capitol. On the final day of the 2023 legislative session, the House voted to legalize medical marijuana and the Senate voted to legalize sports betting. Both bills have been in the works for years. Another bill passed last night is one to phase out the bourbon tax for distilleries. Grayson Passmore wraps up the final hours of the General Assembly.
It's like every year we come up here year after year after year and get told no.
With Kentucky Moms for Medical Cannabis, Julie Cantwell has been championing the legalization of medical marijuana for years. Her son suffers from seizures and, like many, has been traveling out of state for treatments. Senate Bill 47 will change that. allowing the sale and use of medicinal cannabis in Kentucky starting in 2025.
I don't even know what to say. It's right. It's right, and this is medicine, and God put it here, and we're going to help Kentucky patients. It just makes me so happy.
While the bill passed the House, another closely watched bill passed the Senate in a 25-12 vote. House Bill 551 passed the House and a Senate committee on Wednesday, but many thought the bill that legalizes sports betting might never make it out of Senate alive on Thursday.
And it creates difficulty for me because as a Republican, I don't want us to be in your house. That's why I'm not a Democrat. We don't want to show up and start measuring your bedroom. There's a lot of things about being a Republican. We respect your privacy.
The Republican from Perry County, Brandon Smith, explains his yes vote for the bill that will allow Kentuckians to bet on college and pro sports, doing so through a computer, phone, or by going to a horse track-owned facility in Kentucky.
And we want you to be able to continue these things and have business and capitalism in these ideas. But this was a difficult one for me to want to reach into somebody's house and say, no, you cannot do that.
And gaining its final passage the final day of legislative session, House Bill 5 gives a tax break to the bourbon industry. It gradually lowers the property tax for distilleries starting in 2026, with the tax being eliminated in 2042.
And ultimately, this is going to put the more of a tax burden on my constituents and the people of Kentucky.
Opponents say it does away with revenue needed to fund everything from county sheriff's offices to fire departments. Those in favor of this bill say it is needed to save jobs in an industry that is growing in Kentucky.
We still have mechanisms to address fire districts, EMS, and local government entities with a replacement tax that would be paid for 2023 numbers.
That was Grayson Passmore reporting all but one of Kentucky's border states have legalized sports betting. The most recent was Ohio. It started sports betting in January of this year. Virginia started in 2021. Tennessee and Illinois began in 2020. And West Virginia legalized it back in 2018. Missouri is the only border state to not legalize it. There's been strong reactions in Frankfort following the passage of Senate Bill 150, which deals with transgender youth. Some components of the bill took effect immediately. These include the use of preferred pronouns and restrictions on assigned bathrooms in schools. Opponents of the bill say they will continue to fight against these measures.
Just to remember that there are trans adults that are going to continue to show up for you and fight for you.
And reaffirm the stereotype of Kentucky as a bigoted.
Well, the provisions dealing with the ban on certain health care will not go into effect for another 90 days. The ACLU says it will be taking this issue to court. For the first time in more than 100 years, the General Assembly impeached a former prosecutor. The Senate voted Thursday morning to convict Ronnie Goldie. Goldie resigned last month after accusations that he did favors for a woman facing prosecution in exchange for nude photos. The verdict prevents Goldie from holding an elected office in Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear announced Laurel County is one of 3 areas receiving grant funding through the Kentucky Product Development Initiative. The Laurel County Fiscal Court is partnering with the London Laurel County Economic Development Authority to use a little more than $1.5 million of those funds. They will use the money to help fund a 105,000 square foot specific building, or spec building rather, for new businesses. The other counties receiving portions of the money are Madison and Greenup. Well, there's good news for people diagnosed with prostate cancer in our region. Pikeville Medical Center is introducing a new advancement in technology. The hospital says its PMC Diagnostic Center reached another milestone by performing this region's first PET scan. Well, it says the new prostate PET scan can be used as a tool to diagnose and help guide treatment for prostate cancer. Pikeville Medical Center says it's happy to provide more help for those in need of its services.
Better stages, better prognosticates, better tells us what to expect with prostate cancer, how to treat it, and what to do with that information. So it helps us to decide about radiation, surgery, hormone blockade, even chemotherapy. It truly changes the way that we treat prostate cancer.
Well, those with PMC say the new scan will help determine if the cancer has spread beyond the prostate at the time of diagnosis. Spring is in bloom and pollen is in the air. Experts say a whirlwind of temperatures this month have thrown off levels of pollen in the air. Kimberly Donahue talked with an allergist about how to stay in control of your symptoms.
Allergy season is nothing to sneeze at in the tri-state.
We go from tree pollen right into grass pollen season, which is April, May, June, July, and we have a couple months overlap. So once the pollen kicks in, oftentimes you're going to be stuck with it for a while.
Dr. Jim Clark of Thrush and Clark Allergists in Charleston says inconsistent pollen levels throughout March have many adults experiencing allergies for the first time. He says keeping a healthy hygiene routine will be helpful in keeping yourself in control of your allergies.
Keeping the windows and doors closed, even on cool nights, running your air conditioner. If you've been outside and you're having a significant allergy flare, if you can come in, change your clothes, take a shower, wash your hair, that sort of thing, those are helpful. Plus, there are a lot of good medicines. There are antihistamines, and most of the good ones are over the counter now.
Dr. Clark says allergies shouldn't get in the way of your everyday life. And there are some symptoms to tell the difference if you're just experiencing allergies or something more.
People will call and they're like, I have a fever, I have a sore throat, and I think my allergies are flared up. No. I mean, if you have a fever, there's an infectious process going on of some sort. And sometimes the nature of what they're blowing, what the nasal drainage, if it's discolored, oftentimes it's an infection. That's not always the case, but most of the time with allergies, you have clear runny nose. And so if there is discolored, then there can be an infection.
Listen, I had to run to my car during a commercial break to get some Zyrtec. Dr. Clark says the levels of pollen should drop when rain is in the forecast.
6:11 and you're in luck. The pollen levels will drop today because rain is in the forecast. Let's take a look at the last 6 hours, already moving into the western counties as we head into the first part of your Friday, the last day of March, if you can believe that. Heavy pockets of rain out into Pulaski, McCreary, and Wayne counties this morning, approaching I-75. Rockcastle County up next. Actually, maybe even some heavier bands of rain moving into Rockcastle County right now, and we'll continue to watch that march to the east there in the next little bit. So again, if you are east of I-75, you're dry for the moment, but not for too much longer. Temperatures: 39 Grundy, 41 Jonesville, 42 Clintwood, 41 also in Manchester. We've got upper 50s in basically Jackson, 56 there, Prestonsburg, 57 Moorhead and Williamsburg, and 60s in Irvin, Somerset, Monticello, and Jacksboro this morning. Day planner, off and on rain chances, not an all-day washout, but it's going to take us a little while to get to our daytime high today, and I'm talking about just before midnight tonight. Then we see those storms rolling overnight. We'll talk more about those coming up here in just a little bit. Dakota?
Brandon, thank you. It's 6:12 when we come back here on Mountain News this morning. A Manhattan grand jury chooses to indict former President Donald Trump. That's making U.S. history in the process.